Welcome everybody to our Forest Lake Area Schools Organizational School Board meeting, Thursday, January 10th, 2019. Let's open up with the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge
Allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
All right, Kate and Alex, you want to stand? What? Oh, Joe, I'm sorry. All right, so I'm just going to read a line. You guys read it back to me. And this is our oath of office for our new school board members. I affirm that I will support the Constitution of the United States.
I affirm that I will support the Constitution of the United States,
The Constitution of the State of Minnesota.
the Constitution of the State of Minnesota,
And that I will faithfully carry out, according to law,
and that I will faithfully carry out, according to law,
the duties of the office of school board member
the duties of the office of school board member
of Independent School District Number 831
of the Independent School District Number 831
to the best of my judgment and ability.
to the best of my judgment and ability.
All right, congratulations. All right, Member Clerk, could you please take a roll call?
Member Corcoran is absent. Member Keto, sorry. Member Luther. Here. Member Peterson.
Here.
Member Tyson. Here. Member Wakefield.
Present.
And Member Olson is here.
All right, so our first business is the election of school board officers for the next year. And what I'm going to do is I'll go through the president, vice president, clerk, and treasurer, and I will call for nominations. I'll call 3 times, and then we vote. So, for the election of president, do we have any nominations?
I nominate Rob Rayfield.
Any other nominations? Any other nominations? If there's no further nominations, then I'll close nominations. And all in favor of Rob Rayfield as board president, say aye. Aye. All opposed? Thank you very much, everyone. I appreciate that. For vice president, do we have any nominations?
I'd like to nominate Jeff Peterson.
Okay. Any other nominations? Any other nominations? If there's no further nominations, I'd like to close the nominations. All in favor of Jeff Peterson as vice president, say aye. Aye. All opposed? All right. And clerk, are there any nominations for clerk?
I'd like to nominate Joe Olson.
Any other nominations? Any other nominations? If there's no further nominations, I'd like to close nominations. All in favor of Jill Olson as our clerk, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Great. And for treasurer, do we have any nominations for treasurer?
I'd like to nominate Julie Corcoran.
Any other nominations? Any other nominations? If there's no further nominations, then I think we have our treasurer, but all in favor say aye. Aye. All opposed? All right, thank you, everybody. All right, scheduled and unscheduled visitors, we've got 1 green card. Sam Hoosman, do you want to come up?
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I just wanted to stop by real quick and congratulate Kate, Alex, and Jill for their election to the board. Very important position. You guys have a very large budget to work with. In fact, it's a lot more budget we work with at the city council level, so congratulations. Thank you for stepping up to the plate and doing a very important job. Now, the bad news. You guys might have to put up with me for about another year. So I just thought I'd let you know, and I'm kind of like that stray dog you keep hearing about. If they show up on your doorstep and you feed them, you can't get rid of them. That's where I'm at right now, so don't feed me. And maybe we'll get rid of me in the next year or so. So thanks a lot. And
Thank you, sir.
Sergeant, on your meetings, I'll keep doing what I've been doing, so thanks.
Great.
Thank you.
All right, listening session report. Member Olson or Luthman?
I was there with Member Peterson. There was 4 visitors. We we talked about the positive nature of the preschool program, the middle school, and how well the new system's working out. And we had some visitors from Stillwater who came to observe our system.
All right. Thank you. All right, student achievement, special education, Kelly Lester.
Do I need to use my microphone? Okay, good evening, board members, and welcome new board members. Thank you for letting us take the time tonight to present to you about special education. We're going to take a few minutes for myself to speak, and then I'm going to introduce two of the special ed coordinators to take on the two ends of the scope of early childhood and our secondary transition program. So starting off tonight, what I thought I would do is give you some information on special education as we talk about the levy and where it has gone and what general education has done, then also what special education has looked like. So over the past several years, if you look starting in December 2009 up until December 2018, in special education, we do a December 1 child count. So what that means is we count all of our students with disabilities and the state counts, and tells us how many students we have in the district identified as special ed. As our general education population has decreased over the past several years, our special education population has increased. So though we've lost 800 students over the past 10 years, special education has increased by 122 students. The state average should be around 12%, so we were there, and we're increasing up to high 15% this school year. Looking at other districts close to us in the metro, their trend is the same as ours. So the state is seeing an increase as well. Over time, there's been an increasing number of students requiring Federal Setting 2 and Federal Setting 3 programming. Federal Setting 1 is where 0 to 20% of their day is in special education. 20 to 60% of their day is a Federal Setting 2, and 60% or more of their day is a Federal Setting 3. With that increase of special education, we have seen an increase of higher needs. So as you can see, the blue is Federal Setting 1, they're mostly in their general education setting. And then 2 and 3 are the red and the yellow. You can see over time those have increased. So we are getting higher needs. And then our Federal Setting 4 are students that are placed outside of the district, so like at 916, and that has stayed pretty steady throughout the years. These are the areas of disability that the state gives us for students to meet criteria. So of our students that are identified, just over 1,000 students, they would fall into any one of these criteria areas. In our district, at the elementary, we talk about, when we're talking about Federal Setting 3 students, 60% or more of their day in special education. We do have special education programming for students with the highest needs. So at Columbus Elementary, we have a DCD, which is Developmental Cognitive Disabilities, mild to moderate, and ASD, which is the new program that we are starting that is on the school board agenda tonight for a staff member because of our increased needs. Forest View Elementary is a DCD, mild to moderate, and EBD is emotional behavioral disabilities. Forest Lake is the same. That's because it's K3, they funnel up to 4-6. Linwood Elementary has an EBD, and then Wyoming has 4 programs with DCD, mild to moderate, DCD, SP is severe or profound, EBD, and ASD. So those are the students that we have that 60% or more of their day would be in the classrooms in these programs. Federal Setting 4, basically most of our students who are Federal Setting 4 are now going to 916. Prior to us being a member of 916, they went to different places throughout the state, metro, but north or over to Chisago. But now that we're a member of 916, here are the students that we have that are placed. So we have 6 students at the Bel Air campus, 9 at Carter Blue, 1 student at Okay, oh, I never said right. And Wells North, 9 students at Cora and 2 at South Campus. And that's just as of December, our December count. So as you can see, our students are moving around, but this is the programming needs that they have, so they go to 916 with exceptional programming. So now thinking of early childhood, we go back to federal setting 4. So before we go to early childhood, I'm going to introduce Sarah Heckel, who is our early childhood to 6th grade special education coordinator, and Chad Eriksrud is our 7th grade through the STEP program special education coordinator. So they're both going to take time to tell you about their 2 programs. But as we think about federal setting 4, Sarah and Chad are both deeply involved with the teams in the buildings, and students have a high level of need. And Sarah and Chad are the coordinators who then work with 916 to place students at 916. They also, as we think about principals and assistant principals, Sarah and Chad also function similar to that in the capacity for early childhood. Sarah does a lot of the staff supervision. Anything that you might think of a building principal doing programmatically, Sarah is doing for the early childhood. And then Chad is doing for the same at the STEP program. So supervision of staff, if there's student discipline, those pieces, they're taking on the programs that don't have a building principal aligned to them. All right, so I'm going to turn it over to Sarah.
Thank you for your time. I want to echo what Kelly said. We appreciate you giving us a little bit of your time so we can share with you about our services here. So early childhood special education, or early ECSE is what we often refer to that, is a service that we provide to children and families from birth until they go on to kindergarten. And that birth part is a part that I know surprises a lot of people. We think of maybe school starting in preschool or kindergarten, but for the purposes of special education, we provide services starting, and for many kids, at the age of birth, and sometimes even before that if we know that there's a disability that could be playing a part. And oftentimes another terminology that's referred to as early intervention services, and the purpose is really to capture assisting families and students at the infant and toddler stage to provide that early intervention so that as they get older, they will hopefully not need as much intervention or no intervention. And really it's also meant to be there to help build the capacity of the caregivers so that they're supporting their children as they become older. Here's just a snapshot of some of the services we provide in early childhood special ed. This is not an exhaustive list, but is a lot of the common services that we provide at the early childhood level. When we think about early childhood special ed, we think of it kind of in 2 different categories. Birth to 3 is one level, and then at 3 until they go on to kindergarten is the other level. And there's some subtle differences between the 2 that I just wanted to make sure I highlighted for everybody. When they're in that birth to 3 range, we're providing services to the child and the families under what we call an individual family service plan. That's that document that's developed and monitored as a child gets older. It really focuses on family priorities versus just the child's disability area. It's really focusing on coaching and providing support to the caregivers so that they can be supporting their child development all day, every single day. And the other big difference is that in that birth to 3 world, they're providing services in what we call the natural setting for the children. As we know, young children aren't in school at that point, so we're providing services typically in their home, or if they're struggling with supporting their children out in other natural settings, daycare, when you're going to the store, things like that. We have early childhood special educators who are supporting the family in those environments as well. Then when we get to that 3 and over, we're providing services under that IEP, the Individual Education Program. It's shifting from having the family priorities or focusing on providing support to the family to really focusing on the children and getting them ready for school, and then it's provided in the school setting most typically. Some things that I wanted to highlight, and many of you may already know this, but it's something that we are very proud of, when you think about that preschool age, the 3 to 5 level in early childhood special ed, we have a very strong partnership with our Forest Lake Community Education Program. That is really the environment where we're providing the services in most cases to our students. We really have a high emphasis on inclusion in that general education student for all, or general education setting for all students, regardless of disability. That's always something we're striving for. And then also that the ECSE services are now, as you know, in all of our elementary sites too. When we think about early childhood special education, that is the funneling point for many of our families at that young age, and we're getting better and better at identifying those children younger and younger, and our referral sources are listed here. And again, not all exhaustive, we really take referrals from anybody, with the majority being from the families and parents and medical providers, but we also are getting referrals from the county, from Child Protection. We even have friends of the family that may refer for their children for early childhood special ed services as well. And the referrals come to us in a couple different ways. Those referral sources can call us directly, and then we'll guide them through the process. Or a couple years ago, the state of Minnesota put a lot of money into providing a statewide referral system known as Minnesota Help Me Grow. And this is a snapshot of just their website. But it's a place for families to go to see, are my child meeting the milestones? If they're not, how do I refer them to my district? And here's just a quick snapshot of the referrals in early childhood. I have it broken out by that birth to 3 and the 3 to 5. Birth to 3 being on the left, and that green line there is the point in time when MDE did start funding the statewide system. So you can see with that trend line that we have definitely a drastic increase when a couple years ago we were maybe at 42 referrals a year for birth to 3. We're now at 75, and that 3 to 5 we were at 105, and we're at now 138 per year referrals in early childhood special education. I'm going to pass it on to Chad.
Again, thank you for allowing special education staff here to visit with you and share a little bit about special education programming. Here's a picture of the STEP program in case somebody doesn't recognize what the STEP program is. We're located on Broadway, 467 West Broadway. It was originally the Arthur's Unfinished Furniture Building, and a lot of renovation has been done to make it look like it is today. We're actually kind of trendsetters when it came to transition programming. A lot of area school districts were continuing to program for their students with transition needs in their school setting. And so it was a struggle for students to think that they were done with their traditional school setting and then to stay in their traditional school setting and to not move on. And I'll talk a little bit about the history of the STEP program in a couple slides in the future. But the STEP program provides services for students that are 18 to 21 years of age that have disabilities and have a current IEP. They have some significant transition needs. It could be social skills, it could be vocational skills, post-secondary planning, it could be some functional academic skills that have not been met, and they do not yet have a high school diploma. So students that attend the STEP program are still Forest Lake students. Here's a little history of the STEP program. Back in 2007 and 2008, we put together an exploratory committee to kind of analyze the transition needs in the Forest Lake Area School District. When Deb Wall came to the district, she started doing an analysis and trying to figure out where our students that were transition aged were. And it's interesting that we still had some students that were 18 to 21 years of age still at junior high school, some still at the high school. And the reason behind that was some parents didn't feel comfortable with the case manager at the junior high or high school setting, and they didn't want their child to leave that setting. So once we did an analysis and tried to identify how many students we had in the district that would benefit from transition programming, we identified 36 students that were in need of this level of programming. We spent quite a bit of time trying to find space in Forest Lake. We looked at a number of different locations and finally landed on the Arthur's Unfinished Furniture Building and worked with Gone Properties to lease and do some construction to get that ready for our students. We moved into the STEP program partway through the school year in 2008 in December. We moved from our other locations to the STEP program, and we had 36 students that year. Currently, we have 24 students, And next year, we're seeing a big bubble at the high school this year that will be moving to the STEP program next year. Our numbers will increase drastically between 36 and 38 students. That does not factor in any students that we may get from open enrollment. We tend to get students from Chisago School District that live kind of on the border, and their transition program is in North Branch, and our program is closer and has a really strong reputation. So we oftentimes get students from the Chisago School District open enrolling into our district to access our STEP program. In 2020 and 2021, we're looking at possibly relocating the STEP program to the current CLC building location. That would allow us to get rid of our current lease we have for the STEP program and access some space that we currently have in our district. And as the supervisor of the STEP program, I'm super excited about that. It'll give us more space, it'll give us gym access. It'd be really a positive move for our program. When we program for students at the STEP program, we pretty much provide them whatever it is that they need. It's a very individualized program. So as we look at each individual student, we give them what they need. Their IEP drives their instruction. We try to tie everything back to these three common areas: daily living skills, employment skills, and post-secondary planning. We're really trying to look forward and see what it is they would like to be doing when they're done with school. Living situations, post-secondary planning, employment skills, and tailor our programming to get them best prepared to be as independent as possible in those different areas. Some of the partnerships we have a strong partnership with Vocational Rehabilitation Services from the state of Minnesota. We have a counselor that comes out to the STEP program every couple of weeks, and we provide him space within our program to work with students on goal setting. And through working in Vocational Rehabilitation Services, they have a plethora of services that they can provide our students. Years ago, Vocational Rehabilitation Services would come on board right as the student was leaving the Forest Lake Area School District, and they would provide services after the student graduated. There have been a lot of changes to laws, and Vocational Rehabilitation Services is now more active when students are still in school. So working closely with Vocational Rehabilitation Services, we're able to leverage funds from both rehab to allow our students more training opportunities. We also provide access to school-based mental health within our school. We provide space for school-based mental health to come in and provide supports to our students in the STEP program. We also have a partnership with an organization called Upstream Arts, where it's a fantastic service where we have local artists from the Minneapolis area come in and work with our students on Monday afternoon. And the focus is teaching students social skills and communication skills through the arts. And if you ever get a chance to come observe that, it's just powerful. Our students love it. They're fully engaged and are learning tremendous skills through the Upstream Arts program. I should send you an email link with a better explanation of Upstream Arts. And one of our teachers in the STEP program is actually interviewed and featured in the video. I think you'd benefit from seeing that. We also, being that we're a member district with Intermediate 916, we have access to training programs. And we have, I believe, 8 students from our STEP program that we transport down to the Intermediate 916, the East Campus, where they're learning auto dismantling, medical careers, entrepreneurship, all sorts of different training programs that are preparing them for the world of work when they get out of school. We're in our second year of PBIS, Positive Intervention Systems and Supports. And through this process, we've seen a significant decrease in office referrals. So the referrals that come to my office, we're better prepared to deal with them at the classroom level, and the referrals don't make it to my office as frequently. We've also seen an increase in staff and student recognizing positive behavior. We have a stepped up board in our commons area, and when staff catch students or students catch staff or staff catch student doing wonderful things, we recognize them, put them up on our stepped up board, and then every Monday we get together as a whole department, and we go through those and read them out loud and share the positive things that are going on in our program. And it's had a tremendous impact on our students. It's really cool to see a student recognize a staff or a student recognize another student. Also through this process, we've developed rubrics with developing clear expectations across settings. So not only within our program, our expectations for students in the community, our expectations for students in transportation, And with these clear rubrics and clear expectations, the students have really risen to the challenge and met these expectations. Last year, we received a grant through Washington County to purchase a tower garden. If you've not seen a tower garden, we're able to plant vegetables in this tower garden and harvest those vegetables. So we work on the planting skills, the nutrition, and students are able to use that produce for lunch or during some of the cooking classes. We have lettuce and tomatoes and all sorts of bok choy. We have all sorts of vegetables growing in the step program. It's able to grow year round. We're also very immersed in the Rangers Supporting Rangers program, if you're familiar with that. Our students, it's a win-win because our students go and do all the packaging, which is teaching them tremendous job skills. We're teaching them to be independent, and those bags are then delivered to the different schools. So the students in need have food for the weekend. We also stock the food pantries in the secondary buildings, and it's been just a great partnership for us to give back to the school district. You can see one of our students sorting bags there. And the last slide, it just shows Kelly's and Sarah and my name and how many staff and supervisors within the school district.
So with that, do you have any questions for us?
I have a question. Chad, while they're in the STEP program, are they working on degree credits?
They're not working on credits any longer. They're working on meeting their goals and objectives, which have been identified in their IEP.
Okay.
So these are students that have gone through the traditional school setting,
Yep.
and we've identified ongoing needs for them, and we continue to track their progress on their IEP goals and objectives. And once they've gotten to the point where they've attained those goals and objectives, the team does not feel their continued needs out when the student graduates. We've actually had 2 students that during their first year of the STEP program that have graduated this year already. And we have students that graduate after the end of their 3rd year. So we have a wide range of students in our STEP program that are there for various reasons. A couple of the students, were very clear with the expectation, laid out their IEP goals and objectives, and when they obtained that, that's when they graduated and stepped up to the challenge and graduated this fall.
And they get the Forest Lake diploma at that time.
Okay.
Any other questions, comments? Well, we really appreciate you coming out and reintroducing us to special ed and what you guys are doing. And I mean, I know I speak on behalf of the board to just say thank you because this is such important work. Getting a good education for anybody is just critical in their lives, and just we've seen the work you guys do and we really appreciate it. So,
Thank you.
yeah, thank you. All right, thank you guys. All right, positive happenings. Member Olson, let's start.
Not a lot to report. It was very busy with the holidays, so I think we'll see that across the board. But I did go to the community conversation. That was pretty well attended. I went to a boys varsity basketball game, and I went to another Linwood PTO meeting.
All right. Member Keto?
I have nothing to report.
I went to the Ranger Singers and the middle school concert, the holiday concert, and the Lino PTO.
I attended a couple of 4th grade basketball games, and it's really fun to watch them boys transition from, sort of we don't know what we're doing to we're actually putting the ball through the hoops.
Keep posting pictures, okay?
Member Tyson?
I went to a couple of hockey games, a boys and a girls game. They were playing Roseville. I didn't get to see the end of the girls game, but it was very good. I saw the first period. I also noticed that Rangers Wellness met Tuesday. I'm not able to go to those meetings anymore, but they've got another round of SHIP grants that they're going to be working on, and we're fortunate enough we get recipients from all 3 counties now. So just want to mention that we're working hard on those meetings. And that's about it for me. I went to the community conversation as well with Joe. They had a very nice turnout.
Yeah. And I guess for me, I mean, one thing I would just kind of point out is just this, I've just kind of felt a real sense of optimism about this upcoming year. Like the sense that we're in a good place, and so we're going to take full advantage of that and do right by this district. And so it's just kind of it's more of a feeling than anything else. I just kind of wanted to point out. So. All right. Reports. Anything from workshop or conferences?
Well, I just want to mention that MSBA's leadership conference is next week. Preceding that, they have phase 1 and 2. If any of our new members want to go to that, and then also there's officer training, February 23rd in Maple Grove at MSBA.
Okay, thank you. Communications Committee, Member Olson.
Yes. We had a great conversation with the committee, and we did a lot of brainstorming about the district communication plan and the desired behaviors and attitudes of that communication plan. And we also looked at district website templates.
Okay, and then 916, Member Olson?
Yes, 916, we had an election of officers. We had a great presentation on the joint purchasing contract usage and participation, and Forest Lake was listed in there. And we had, we were introduced to proactive measures for 2019, which are new workshops that are offered in the summer, and registration to members will open in February.
Okay, thank you. Policy Committee, Member Tyson.
Yes, it'll come up under new business 13 in tonight's board packet and agenda. We had worked on the bullying prohibition policy 541, harassment and violence policy 425. They were both up for annual review, and they're recently revised as well. Then we also worked on transportation and student transportation safety 531, and those have some minor changes that you probably noted in your packet by our transportation director, John Gray. That concludes my report.
All right, and then Equity Alliance, Member Tyson.
I do not have a report as of yet. I have not attended a meeting.
Okay. And Staff Welfare, Member Corcoran's not here tonight, so I was there. And we talked about the 2018-2020 budget program and how we're trying to figure out our spending, given our new circumstances. We talked about strategic planning, something that we're going to have to revisit. We've done a good job of it in the past, and it's helped to guide us. And I think now we're looking at what's our next step with strategic planning. How do we want to look at it? Then we also talked about the enrollment task force, which we're putting together to help us figure out ways and implement ways of making sure that our enrollment represents the job. And yep, and that's my report for that. And then the Finance Committee, we talked about the FY18 draft audit, went through the audit, and we did the FY19 budget status and the FY20 budget status. And Curriculum, Instruction, and Equity, both our members are not here. Buildings and Grounds Committee, Member Peterson.
And we had discussion on the naming of the former ALC. We also had discussion on the Southwest building remodel and the upcoming Wyoming Elementary project. We had discussion on the tennis court replacement, and then Bill gave us a report on lead and radon testing being done at the schools. And we've had some faucet issues after the testing, and they are working through those and replacing them as needed.
Okay, thank you. City of Forest Lake, Member Tyson.
I do not have a report on that.
Okay. Reshaping Opportunities for Success 2015-2020. Director Martini.
Thank you, Mr. President. Good evening, everyone. I've got a few slides that we'll run through. It's going to be, the typical picture show that I share with you. I'm going to start out with Linwood Elementary. And this is actually a shot from December because on the exterior, now that everything's frozen solid, there isn't much going on. But just to give you a glimpse, they've got more roofing that they're doing out there. Mr. Brockman was able to get out to the schools and get some photos inside and along the exterior. This is a photo taken in December, and I believe he marked the spot deeply with an X because the photo taken today just has the protective covering on that main entrance now, and some caps covering the conduit out front. But this is the new office work area, so that's exciting. They've got casework in and things like that, and the front counter in the Linwood office. So things are moving along very nicely at Linwood. We've got the exterior area and the hallway within that new office area shown here, along with the school age care right off that main entrance. So inside that window with the black or the darker brick, you'll see this room. So that's pretty exciting how things are shaping up out at Linwood. As far as classrooms, here's new classroom construction. There's a different room, but a similar look. So really exciting. Southwest, there's probably been a lot of talk about the pond that was far out to the west over by Atlanta. And so that is in the far upper right of this picture. And there's a parking lot that will be on that side of the building on the far upper right. That parking lot is going to be for early childhood family education and early childhood special education. That was back in November. Now, here's a picture taken this week in the front of the building, in the south side of the building, the old principal's office. You'll notice door number 2. Now, that's going to become door number 1, and they're going to number the facility, I believe, the other way. So it's now listed as door number 1, number 2, and it's pretty exciting because the office area is beginning to take shape. This is the hallway there. And in the early childhood family ed area, this is some of the construction. You'll probably see if you go out by 11th and you look back towards the building, the outline where there's going to be windows on that. It's back in the old shops area that we're talking about, if you're familiar with the facility. So if you see white markings on the exterior, that will be windows that we put in when it gets a little warmer. Here's work in one of the gymnasiums that's going to become early childhood special ed classrooms and other offices. Some more early childhood special ed construction, and a final wiring. So really exciting. There's a lot going on in that facility, and we are beginning to have some concerns with the volume of work at Southwest. So we'll stay on those folks and keep you apprised each month as regular meetings come about. As you know, we'll have Wyoming bids later this evening, and we're excited once again. Those came in under budget, so that we were able to capture not only the first alternate, but also the second alternate, and still stay within our original budget parameters. We were looking at, when the bond was passed back in 2015, we had roughly $3 to $5 million targeted for each elementary, and we had spent far more than that because of some of the creativity that has arisen. When we did the bid estimating, we thought $6.5 million would be the cost, and it's just a little over $6 million for Wyoming. So we're doing a lot more than we promised, and we're doing it for less than the budget. I cannot believe that this project, all the way through, has been on budget and on time, so that's very exciting. Next week, we'll be walking through the Central Learning Center with the K-18 and the KOM-18 to examine if our ideas of keeping the areas that are closest to Forest Lake Elementary, if that has good feasibility. We think it will, but we need folks from KOMA, Cross Anderson, and Martin Nesner to let us know. So with that, questions or comments?
So Larry, are we ready pretty much for classes then in this fall of 2019 for ECFE, and
That is the plan.
that's the plan still?
The original plan was that they'd be completely ready this summer, possibly a little bit before. Now we're looking at August.
Okay. Thank you.
Larry, if I heard you correctly, that was still on time and on budget, right? We've done more work than what was originally planned.
I have to tell you, I think now this is the 39th meeting when I've been able to state on budget and on time. Thank you.
Howard, when do you think we could maybe get a tour?
Anytime you'd like, would you want to schedule that through Dr. Massey and Connie?
Great.
we've got the hard hats and the vests and the protective equipment you need, safety glasses, so anytime you'd like, we can accommodate that.
Great, thank you, Larry.
Absolutely.
And Dr. Martini, if you could, when you're talking to the different people organizing this work, if you could just pass on our appreciation for the great work and have them also pass down to the guys that are running the wires and the plumbing and the floors, and that we just really appreciate their work and the job they've done, and consistently high quality of that work as well.
Thank you, I will.
Thank you. All right, superintendent's report, Dr. Massey.
Yeah, thank you. First of all, before I get into a couple of items, I'd like to thank Kelly Lessman and for her presentation and the leadership she's providing for special ed. If you noticed on the chart that she presented at the start of the presentation, our numbers in special ed are going up. It's important to have that in the back of your mind as we're moving forward as a system. That puts a lot of strain and pressure on our special education program. And it requires a lot of foresight and vision and leadership. And Kelly and Chad and Sarah are doing a good job, so we're in good hands there. Well, I've got a few slides that are going to go with my piece. Go ahead, Tim.
Yep.
Thank you. First, I'd like to personally welcome members Luthner and Kello and congratulate Member Olson on her re-election to the school board. We thank you for your willingness to serve the school district in this leadership capacity. You are making a significant commitment, as I know you are aware, and for this we say thank you. We're getting ready actually to welcome the class of 2032, which is the kindergarten class that will start next year, class of 2032. If we did our calculation correctly. Kindergarten roundup starts the week of February 5th. Principals and teachers are busy reaching out to prospective students and planning a fun-filled, informative event for students and their parents. We are really aware that it's super critical for us as a district to capture kids in kindergarten. They tend to stay when they start with us. You know as well as I do that there's a lot of competition for students, and we are paying very close attention to how we're recruiting and capturing enrollment, not just in kindergarten, but in all grades throughout their system. Scandia Principal Julie Griman has been awarded the Minnesota Elementary School Principals Association Division Leadership Award. Earlier this year, as you're aware, Wyoming Elementary Principal Kurt Slater was named the Minnesota's 2018 National Distinguished Principal. Both Julie and Kurt will receive their awards at the MESPA conference in February. So congratulations to both Kurt and Julie for this distinguished recognition for their exemplary leadership for the school district. Late last week, we learned that the high school has been awarded a $95,000 grant from the Minnesota Department of Labor and Industry for the development of work-based apprenticeship and internship opportunities for students. This work will be done in collaboration with the Lake Center for Youth and Families and local manufacturing and agriculture partners throughout the community. This grant will enable the high school to expand career and technical education opportunities for students by providing real-life, on-the-job experience and training. In many ways, our district is leading the way in providing career and technical education opportunities for students. With our comprehensive programs and a keen understanding that a large sector of the marketplace is in the career and technical education arena, students are preparing for meaningful careers in the trades. And this is a significant and wonderful opportunity for the school district. The annual Suburban East Music Festival will be held on Monday, February 4th at White Bear Lake High School. During the school day, the top orchestra, band, and choir groups from each of our conference schools will perform for state and national clinicians and for their peers from other schools. At 7 p.m., the SEC all-conference groups will perform a public concert. This is a phenomenal event to showcase the amazing music programs that that we have in our school districts and that exists in the schools throughout our conference. So please mark your calendars and plan to attend this event and this evening concert, and we'll have tickets for you as we approach that event. Over the last 2 months, the administrative team has been gathering input from the community and staff on the best ways to invest the recently approved operating levy funds. The next step in the process of putting together the budget program for the next school year with these increased funds will be the school board's work session on January 24th. This work session will start at 6 p.m. With time for the community to offer additional input for the school board. Following this part of the meeting, the school district administrative team will provide background information for the board. The school board will then spend the remainder of the time discussing spending priorities and providing guidance for the administrative team as we put together the recommendations for the 2019-2020 budget program year. That's my report.
Thank you. All right, just a reminder for our new members on the consent agenda, I'll ask if you want to discuss any of the individual items, and I'll say, and if you do, then we'll pull those out and we can talk about those individually. Otherwise, it's mostly stuff that doesn't require much discussion, so oftentimes we'll pass the whole thing all at once. And so, are there any items we'd like pulled 9.1 through 9.14? If not, do we have a motion to approve 9.1 through 9.14?
Move to approve.
Second?
Any discussion? If there's no discussion, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed? All right, thank you. See how much we got done there?
Chunk.
All right. Donations. I forgot to ask.
Did we miss 9:15?
Yeah.
You stopped at 9:14.
Okay, that was my mistake. I missed 9:15. All right, do you have a motion to approve 9:15?
Second.
Any discussion? If there's no discussion, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed? All right.
That's a rather significant item if we wanted to receive funds from the
I
district.
felt it wasn't. I thought you wanted to discuss it separately.
Whoops. Okay. I was just elected, so. All right, agenda item 10, donations. Do we have someone who could read donations?
I nominate Alex.
All right. Okay.
If you guys like.
All right. Okay. So generally what we do on this board is that we get a lot of great donations from people around the district, and we just like to recognize them, and because it's a lot of great work by our PTOs and our citizens, so congratulations. Go ahead and you can read them, and then when you're done, make a motion to approve them.
Very honored to do this. First of all, the donation was for a blessing trumpet from Gary and Sandy Sager in Florida for $75 for a scholarship. There was a renewal of a cloud-ready license of $465 for the Scandia PTO, who is a donor, and went to Scandia Elementary to provide updated technology to use with Chromebooks. Third donation, children's books. The donor was the Scandia Marine Lions. I'd like to thank them for a $75 donation to provide children's literature on diabetes, cancer, and the environment. There was a $500 donation from the Walmart in Forest Lake to Forest View Elementary Little Rangers Preschool for a guest speaker for the preschool program. There was a $200 donation from Faith Lutheran Church here in Forest Lake to FLAS for family support to support district families with food and other basic needs. There was a snack donation also from Faith Lutheran Church here in Forest Lake to the FLAS Health Office to give students in need of a snack while at school, valued at about $1,050. There was a $300 donation from Mary McGuire and Hugo to the Wyoming Elementary for unpaid lunch accounts. There was a $3,311.53 donation to the Forest Lake Dance Line Boosters from them to the Forest Lake High School Winter Dance Team for payment of an assistant coach to help out with the program. Computer desks and chairs and stools were donated to from the Scandia PTO to Scandia Elementary for alternative seating in grade 6 classrooms for a value of $364.75. 14 iPads and cases were provided by Scandia Elementary Enrichment Foundation to the Scandia Elementary to provide additional technology with small groups to strengthen academic skills. The value of that was $4,625.30. Flexible seating options were given by SEF to the Scandia Elementary to provide flexible seating in grade 6 classrooms. That value was $1,481.29. 4 classroom rugs were also given by SEF to the Scandia Elementary to facilitate whole group instruction. The value of that was $1,826.15. Toys were provided from customers from the Forest Lake Menards and the Forest Lake Lions Club to the Forest Lake Elementary for needy students and their families. The value of that was $675. Hats were also valued at $100. Hats, gloves, and mittens valued at $150 were provided by the Forest Lake Christian Church to Forest Lake Elementary for needy students and their families. The total of all contributions on this page were $15,199.02. I would make a motion that we accept the donations.
All right. Do you have a second? Any discussion?
I'm just curious who that speaker was. For the preschool, that had to be so fun. And we are always just so blessed with these generous donations, month after month. So, and great job, by the way.
Thank you.
All right. Well said. All right. All in favor of approving the donation, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed? All right. All right, so we've got our next agenda item is to approve the routine actions. I think what I'm going to do is I'm going to go through our appointments 11-1 through 11-9. We'll go through each one by one, but then, 11-10. And we'll go through each one, and then at the end, we'll vote on them all at once. Does that make sense? Is everybody okay with that? All right, and then if you're currently the representative for one of these, when it first comes up, just kind of, if you could just give an introduction to it, say what it's about, very short, maybe some of the commitments. So that'll help anybody who might be interested in taking it on.
So information is also provided in your packet as
Yep.
well.
Yep, and thank you to Connie for putting that together. All right, 11-1, appoint representative to MSBA. Who's currently?
I am. And Julie.
Okay. Are you interested in staying on that, or?
I can stay on that.
Okay. Anybody else interested? We generally have one or two.
Usually I have two. Three last year with Karen.
Is someone else interested?
Okay.
Okay.
What do you want to do, Julie?
We can leave her on.
Yeah, let's leave her on. Appoint representative to Minnesota State High School League.
Currently Julie and myself.
What kind of commitment is that?
Very little. We'll talk to them when we're at the leadership conference and attend their, they have a new executive director as of this year too. So,
We typically have 2 meetings a
2 meetings a
year
year.
for half days.
but they're in different locations, correct, Steve?
That's good.
So I wasn't able to go to all of them because sometimes they were in Cambridge or St. Francis or something.
Yeah.
I'll sign up for that too, in case you can't make it. Yeah. All right, appoint representative to Equity Alliance Minnesota.
I can, yep, I can do that. I got the schedule from Connie, thank you Connie, so the driving and there's quite a bit of different distance to cover in a short amount of time, so hopefully they
Okay.
in all different areas.
All right, thank you. Appoint representative to Schools for Equity in Education. Good group to be on. Enjoy it. Kate, you were saying you were interested in that?
Actually C, but I'd be interested. Sorry, yeah.
Yeah, we
So
see.
we are on C, yes, we are.
Okay.
Maybe more than one.
Yeah, I can be on that, unless you want to continue. Okay. Appoint a liaison to the city of Forest Lake.
I can do that.
I'd love to read it, I've done it for a while now, so give you a perfect time.
Appoint representative to Special Ed Advisory Council.
I would like to continue that.
And if I could join on that.
Appoint representative to Community Education Advisory Council.
I'm currently serve on the council, so I can certainly do that as part of it.
Appoint representative to Agriculture Education Advisory Board.
I'd like to do that. Yeah. Because I've done it. I'll do a good job. I don't need
What's that?
I don't need to. I was interested, we don't all need to.
to. No, I've never done it, so it's like the only one thing I haven't, so.
You have three last year.
Okay. Do we want to do one more?
I'm just trying to cover the categories.
You might be interested in the, well, okay. We can put you down for that. We had 3 last year, we can have 3 this year.
It's also at a time that I can attend. I think if you have free time during the day, we can look at some of the ones that start at 4, 4:30.
And he usually has cookies.
Yeah.
Yeah. Appoint representative to Emergency Medical Services Health Careers Advisory Board.
I'm interested in that.
What's the commitment on that?
Usually a morning meeting, every other month or so.
3 meetings at 7 a.m.
You know what, I'll do it.
And Member Olson, you're continuing as the board representative of 916? All right.
Did we get Julie on
You know what? That's a good point.
I think we just kind of left her where she is.
that? Okay.
And then she can maybe move around, and she can input around.
Yeah, okay. Yeah, and if there's something she wants to be in, we can take motion, action on another meeting. All right, do we have a motion to approve 11-1 through 11-11? 11-10.
Do we want to just go through and confirm that we have the right people?
Sure.
Okay.
So MSD, I've got Gail, Alex, and Julie. Minnesota State High School, I've got Jill and Rob. Equity Alliance, I've got Gail.
I'll back up if you would. I think we keep Julia on high school leave where she was.
Equity Alliance, I've got Gail Tyson. For C, I've got Kate, Rob, and Jill. City
I'm not going to be on C anymore, I think. So just Kate and Rob.
City Force Lake, I've got Alex. Special Ed Advisory Council, Jill Olson and Kate. Community Ed Advisory Council, I've got Alex.
And Julie.
Julie was on
Agriculture, 11-8 Agriculture Education Advisory, Gail, Jeff, and Kate. And Emergency Services Health Careers Advisory, Lauren, I've got Gail and Jeff.
Sounds good. All right, do we have a motion to approve 11-1 through 11-10?
So moved.
Second?
Any discussion? If no discussion, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed? All right. Now, the next 3 we'll just take one by one. 11-10, continue, designate official school newspaper. Superintendent?
Yeah, we've got only one bid for the official newspaper for the school district, and that's the Forest Lake Times. We did ask the lowdown if they would submit a bid, and they elected not to submit a bid. The bid you have in your packet from the Forest Lake Times is a bid for the same cost as they assessed the district for being the official paper of this current year. So no increase in cost, we have just the one proposal, or the one bid.
All right, do we have a motion to designate the official school newspaper?
So moved.
Second.
Any discussion? If there's no discussion, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
All right, set school board salaries. That's for us to look at. Hold on a second, I've got something I was going to pass out. So I took some of the information that the district office got us about our salaries and compared them to other salaries, and so the first grid is just kind of showing all the yearly numbers. The second grid is showing how the officer positions are offset from the director position. So the directors are always the base salary, and then for the other school districts, the other numbers are showing how the officer positions are different. And then bottom one, I was into my spreadsheet, so I just showed the difference for between our district, because we're at 0 there, and the other districts. And you've seen this information before, but anyway. So do we have a motion to get the conversation started?
So moved.
Or a motion, we'd have to have somebody making a motion like, oh, I'd like to increase it, or oh, I think we should keep it the same.
I'll make a motion. I would like to see the vice president make it at least as much as the clerk.
Okay?
I was going to amend, but that'll work.
Okay, and then, so keep all the salaries the same, except that the stipend for the vice chair would be 200.
Correct.
Okay, did you get that? Okay, any discussion? Oh, do we have a second?
Second.
Any discussion?
I just think that's a fair idea. I think we've talked about it before, and we've never concluded as to why the vice chair position was not a paid position, similar to the clerk and treasurer. So I make a motion to keep our salaries the same and include the vice chair position at the same amount.
Well, we've already got a motion. We've got that exact motion on the table right now. Okay.
Oh.
Yep, we're discussing, but yeah, I'm fine with that. One thing I would say is I think that the motion is to keep our salaries the same as last year, and I think we've done that for a couple of years now, and I agree with it. But I think at some point we were going to want to start making increases that are consistent with what we do for the other employee groups, and I just say that because I think that you don't want to get into a position where you're losing a little bit of buying power each year, and then you have to make kind of a big increase. So I think maybe for next year we should consider that, but I'm in favor of keeping it as it is this year. Any other discussion?
Do you recall when the last increase was? Did we have that on there?
It was a large one, but it was a number of years ago.
I thought it was the first year.
Yeah, I thought it was just 3 years ago.
Or if it was your first year.
Okay. Any further discussion? If there's no further discussion, Member Clerk, please take a roll call.
Okay.
Member Luther?
Aye.
Member Peterson?
Aye.
Member Tyson?
Aye.
Member Wakefield?
Aye.
Member Olson votes aye.
And the motion's approved. All right, 11-13, school board committees. So I took all the emails and surveys and put them together. What's that? Yeah, but we do the committee stuff too here, right?
That'd be 11-14.
What am I looking at? I don't have the one.
We have an extra one.
Oh, you got that one last one.
Oh.
You did what you asked.
That's what I get for bringing my own copy. Yeah, because when Steve and I were planning out the meeting, I asked that they be separated, and then I went ahead and read the local. So,
And these positions are, we've already kind of placed these, but we
Right.
replace local and local.
okay, so 1113 then is, that's the school board liaisons?
Yeah, school building liaison.
Hold on a second. Thank you. Now I'm set. Okay, 1113, school board building liaison assignments. We've already worked through these assignments. We do it mid-year, and but we've got new members, and so and really what it is that we assign a board member or two, generally two, to each school, and then so if this, you're kind of the ombudsman to that school for the year, and so for Columbus Elementary is assigned to myself and member Odegaard. So Alex and Kate, this is where, and let's see, where you would take on these. We're not going to assign the other ones, but this is where one of you would volunteer for this. So Columbus Elementary is myself and, okay. Forest Lake Elementary,
I'll take Forest Lake and Forest View.
well, we're already assigned.
Okay.
This is just replacing
Just
Sharon.
replace
Got it.
it.
Yeah.
So whose position was it?
I already go to all the light.
Karen.
So
Okay,
we'll
so
do something different.
Forest View, Karen was on that.
I can take them.
Scandia, member Tyson's currently assigned to that. And so we wouldn't need a second person.
I can scan
Okay.
this.
And then the senior high school. One of you two,
I can go.
okay? And the STEP program has both member Odegaard and Moorhead, so I'm saying both. Okay, that was a little confusing, but really what we're trying to do, like I say, we assign mid-year, we've got new people, so we're just trying to fill up the open spaces. And, all right. So with that, do we have a motion to approve Columbus Elementary, member Rayfield, member Keto, Forest Lake Elementary, member Luthner? Did I have that, am I pronouncing that right?
Yes.
Yeah, member Luthner and member Corcoran. Forest View Elementary, member Corcoran and member Luthner. Lino Lakes, member Rayfield, member Peterson. Linwood, member Tyson and Olson. Scandia, member Tyson and Keto. Wyoming Elementary, member Peterson and member Tyson. CLC, ALC, member Olson, member Corcoran. The middle school, member Rayfield, member Tyson. Senior high school, member Olson and member Luthner. Transportation office, member Tyson and member Peterson. And the STEP program, member Luthner and member Keto. Sound right? All right. Do you have a motion to approve?
Move to approve 11.15.
Second. All right, any more discussion? If there's no discussion, all in favor say aye. Aye. All right. All opposed? All right. Thank you. And then 1114, school board committee assignments. So, so I take all your surveys and try to figure out where people need to go. A little more flexibility this year, which is nice because we don't have the mandated positions as much anymore. So I'm going to hand out assignments. Pass it down. And so for staff welfare, we have member Rayfield, member Corcoran, and member Olson. That's at 6 o'clock. Buildings and grounds, 6 o'clock, member Keto, member Peterson. Curriculum instruction and equity, we have member Tyson and member Luthner. At 7 o'clock, for finance, we have member Rayfield, member Corcoran, and member Keto. Communication, we have member Tyson and member Luthner. And policy, I have a member Peterson and member Olson. So people generally got what they asked for. So that was good news.
And you start February, correct?
Yes. All right. And so with that, do we have a motion to approve?
So moved.
Second.
Any discussion? If there's no discussion, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Great, thank you. All right. Agenda item 12.1, accept 2017-2018 financial audit.
Mr. President, members of the board, before I introduce our presenter this evening, I just want to make a few comments. As you had mentioned earlier, Mr. President, both Jackie Eagle and Aaron Nielsen, who are partners with the firm of MMKR, were presenting with our Finance Committee the draft audit. And the Finance Committee members had an opportunity to review that and then get back to us if they had any suggested changes. I just want to take this opportunity, though, to tell you that I'm extremely proud of Paula Steele, our controller, and her staff for the work that they were able to accomplish this past fiscal year, particularly in light of having going through a financial conversion with the software. We moved away from the Tide product. And so I think it's just amazing that we were able to improve our financial position, not only increase the fund balance in the general fund, but increasing fund balance in food service. So kudos to those folks and all their efforts. This evening, Jackie Eagle, who is a partner with MMKR, will share with you the results of the audit, and then we'll both answer questions if you have them.
Well, thank you. As Larry just stated, I'm here to present the audit results for the year ended June 30th, 2018. We did have the opportunity to meet with the Finance Committee in December and went through the audit result in detail. So tonight will be more of a summarized presentation of the audit results. Our role as auditors is to issue an opinion on the financial statements of the district audit. Since the student activity accounts are not under board control, we also complete a separate audit of these accounts and have a separate report on that. As part of our audit, we also review the internal control and compliance of the financial statement audit. Since your district receives more than $750,000 in federal awards, then we also complete an internal control and compliance review of the federal single audit. And then we complete a review with state laws and regulations, and also complete a review of compliance with that manual for activity fund accounting. For the results of the district audit, we issued an unmodified opinion or a clean opinion on the basic financial statements. For the internal control and compliance reports, we did have the 6 comments to note there as reported. All of these comments were discussed in more detail in the Finance Committee meeting back in December. The first couple there relate with the internal control opinions with the financial statement adjustments that were made during the audit process. The second one was the timeliness and accuracy of the cash reconciliations. The third comment noted there relates with the single audit of the federal funds and relates with the controls and compliance over federal procurement requirements. And then the last 3 items noted there all relate with the Minnesota legal compliance audit that we complete. The first one of the unclaimed property report that needs to be filed annually, the contracting and bid law compliance, and lastly, the broker acknowledgement statements. For the audit results over the student activity audit, we do have the 6 comments to report here as noted on this slide. The first one relates with the internal controls and how the student activities are reported on a cash basis of accounting, and that is a consistent comment you'll see from year to year, just how those accounts are reported. And then the remaining ones there all relate with the compliance area, the audit, the improper accounts and activity reported in this area, inactive accounts throughout the year, the disbursement documentation and procedures, and making sure that they're all having proper authorizations and approvals. There was a negative fund balance at year-end, one of the accounts, and then also with activity purpose forms. And there's a new requirement now that those have to be completed annually. So going on to some of the financial results of the audit, this graph shows the general fund financial position for the past 10 years. For the year ended June 30th, 2018, the cash and investment balance was about $10.2 million. It's an increase of about $1 million from the prior year. The unrestricted fund balance was about $1.1 million. I saw a slight dip of about $687,000, specifically in the unrestricted area, but the total fund balance of the general fund increased in the current year about $438,000, and that was compared to a $488,000 that was approved by the school board in the final budget. This table shows the components of the general fund balances for the past 5 years. For the 2018 year, that non-spendable fund balance line had about $170,000, and that's tied up in prepaid items that were already prepaid at year end. The restricted fund balance was about $795,000, and that the district has operating capital dollars that are restricted of about $625,000, and then there was restricted dollars for the long-term facilities maintenance program, about $168,000. The assigned fund balance at year end that you're seeing about $460,000, that's assigned for future severance payments. And then the remaining dollars are unassigned, that's $710,000. So the unassigned fund balance as a percentage of expenditures is about 1% at year end. This is a graph of the adjusted EDM and the pupil units served by the district for the past 10 years. At year end, the district closed the books with an estimated ADM of about 6,066. Obviously, the ADMs aren't finalized until coming into this next fiscal year here. That was a decrease of about 227 ADM, or about 3.6% from the prior year. The next couple of slides I have show the general fund revenue, and then the next one we'll go over will be the general fund expenditures, showing the current year actual compared to the prior year as well as compared to the current year budget. The total general fund revenues are about $75.1 million. It was about $1.6 million over the final budget and about $1.4 million increase from the prior year. The variances to budget was mainly in the state source area and also the property taxes. State sources were about $975,000 over budget, and that was mainly in state special education as well as long-term facilities maintenance, and then pension pass-through all just being more than anticipated in the budget. And the property tax area saw about $320,000 variance over budget, and that was mainly due to the miscellaneous collections and delinquent taxes collections coming in better than anticipated in the budget. And then overall, the revenues in this fund saw an increase from prior year, and that specifically was in the property tax area with the increase in the long-term facility maintenance levy this year. See the similar graph here, just with the general fund expenditures. The total general fund expenditures are about $74.6 million. They're about $1.6 million over the final budget and about $1.3 million more than the prior year. The variance to budget was mainly in the capital expenditure area, and that's all just due to a timing of all the long-term facility maintenance projects taking place at year-end over the summer, and when they got cut off at the June 30th year-end. And then the variance to budget was also in that capital expenditure area, and that was due to more of those long-term facility maintenance projects being paid out of the general fund in the current year. This next graph shows a couple of the other operating funds in the district, specifically the food service special revenue fund, as well as the community service special revenue fund. As Larry noted, the food service fund did see an increase this year, about $292,000, and that was more than what was anticipated in the budget. So at year-end, the fund balance ended at $292,000, which is about 7.9% of the operations of that fund. And then the community service fund also saw a fund balance increase of about $265,000, which was also more than expected in the budget for that fund. At year-end, that fund balance ended at about $820,000, which is about 18% of the expenditures of that fund. And the last slide I have here, it summarizes the district-wide statement of net position. And in your district financial statements, there's two financial statements up front, which we call the entity-wide financial statements, that summarize all the activity of the district on a full accrual financial statement. So that includes all the capital asset activity and all the long-term liabilities of the district. So the top part of this table kind of reconciles, it starts with the total fund balances of the governmental funds, which is what you're used to reporting and talking about. And then it shows all the adjustments for capital assets that the district has, all the long-term debt and any pension adjustments and OPEB adjustments, which local governments are required to show only on these entity-wide financial statements. So you get to a total, you're in that position of a deficit of about 56.3 million, and that's a decrease of about 13.3 million from the prior year. And as you can see in the table, the bottom, a lot of that's in that unrestricted area, which up above correlates to that pension adjustment row. And that's all due to the changes in the PERA, the TRA pension plan liabilities, and the related deferments that local governments are required to report only on these entity-wide financial statements. So the decrease you're seeing here is consistent with other local districts and other local governments, and it's a GASB standard of the requirement to report these on these entity-wide financial statements. So with that, I can answer any questions if anyone wants.
Any questions?
That was great news about our food service. On that graph you showed, the 2017, was it minus that year? What is?
Zero.
2017
Even?
zero.
balance.
Yeah, even.
Okay.
So last year you were required to do a transfer to get it to zero.
Oh, okay, and then it swung to the
So positive
292.
292,000 in 2018.
That's really good news. Okay, thank you.
So Director Martini, what would you say is the takeaway here?
General fund balance improving, and that's without referendum dollars. We're really excited that all the operating funds are in the black. Community services performed exceptional this year as well.
All right,
Terrific.
any further questions? If there's no further questions, do we have a motion to approve accept the 2017-2018 financial audit?
So moved.
Second?
Any further discussion? Thank you for your help doing the audit. We very much appreciate your reports to the financial committee. And yeah, thank you.
Thank you for your report.
Hey, anything else? All right, if there's no further discussion, Member Clerk, please take a roll call.
Member Luther?
Aye.
Member Peterson?
Aye.
Member Tyson?
Aye.
Member Wakefield?
Aye.
Member Olson votes aye, and Member Kettle?
Aye.
Good. The audit is accepted. 12-2, approve new course proposal, AP Human Geography, A and B.
This AP Human Geography A and B course is, would be in addition to our college credit-bearing courses at the high school. With the addition of 9th grade to the high school, we are looking to add options for students in 9th grade in the AP realm. So this course would do that. Of course, it's available for any student 9th through 12, but there'd be a particular emphasis to enroll 9th graders in this course. Administration recommends approval.
All right, do we have a motion to approve 12-2?
So moved.
Second?
Discussion?
Do we see this being added at other districts?
Yeah, the Department of Teaching and Learning with Director Georgie's leadership, they did a lot of research. There are essentially two options of AP courses that we don't offer. Geography is one, and civics and government would be the other AP course. This lines up well with the standards and the requirements. And we also have CIS political science already on the books, so it makes sense to bring the geography course on.
Great, thank you.
All right, any further questions? Comments? All right, if there's no further questions or comments, Member Clerk, please take a roll call.
Member Peterson?
Aye.
Member Tyson?
Aye.
Member Wakefield?
Aye.
Member Olson votes aye, Member Kettle?
Aye.
And Member Luther?
Aye.
All right, course is approved. 12-3, approve new course proposal, Art Through the Ages, A and B.
And this course, as you can see throughout the course description, is intended for the Area Learning Center, although it wouldn't be exclusive to the Area Learning Center. It would be on the books for all students in our secondary high school program. It's also designed to parallel world history. And students who do take world history and the art through the ages concurrently would see a lot of thematic work between the history and the arts, and looking at the arts as a way to study history and world history through an art lens as well. The administration recommends approval.
All right, you have a motion to approve 12.3.
So moved.
Second.
Discussion?
Sounds like an excellent course.
Yep. All right, if there's no further discussion, Member Clerk, please take a roll call.
Member Tyson?
Aye.
Member Rayfield?
Aye.
Member Olson votes aye. Member Kettle?
Aye.
Member Lubner?
Aye.
Member Peterson?
Aye.
All right. 12.4, approve the school board policy 103.
This policy defines the school board membership and terms of office, and the policy committee is recommending a change in the policy where currently the policy indicates that new board members would take their seats on December 31st. With MSBA's recommendation and state statute, where this policy would move the start of the school board term to the first Monday in January. And administration recommends approval.
All right, do you have a motion to approve 12.5?
So
I mean, I'm sorry,
12.4.
12.4.
So
Second.
Discussion?
It's just good to clean this up. It's pretty old. It was revised in '01, so makes perfect sense.
Yep. All right, with that, Member Clerk, if there's no further discussion, could you please take a roll call?
Member Rayfield?
Aye.
Member Olson votes aye. Member Kettle?
Aye.
Member Lubner?
Aye.
Member Peterson?
Aye.
And Member Tyson?
Aye.
All right. That's approved. 12.5, approve school board member reimbursement guidelines 103A.
This policy spells out the practice of the school district to reimburse board members for expenses incurred in travel where such travel is to represent the school district as a board member. The policy committee has reviewed this policy, and they're recommending no changes at this time, and the administration recommends the approval of this policy as it is.
Okay, do you have a motion to approve 12.5?
So moved.
Second?
Any discussion? Yeah, it's working, leave it alone.
Yep, it's been the same, so.
All right, any further discussion? There's no further discussion, Member Clerk, please take a roll call.
Member Olson votes aye. Member Kettle?
Aye.
Member Lubner?
Aye.
Member Peterson?
Aye.
Member Tyson?
Aye.
Member Rayfield?
Aye. 12.6, approve out-of-state travel by school board members, policy 103B.
And the purpose of this policy is to control out-of-state travel by school board members as required by law. School board policy committees reviewed this policy and is recommending no changes. Administration is recommending approval of this policy as it is written.
Okay, do you have a motion to approve 12.6?
So moved.
Second.
Any discussion? There's no discussion, Member Clerk, please take a roll call.
Member Kettle?
Aye.
Member Lubner?
Aye.
Member Peterson?
Aye.
Member Tyson?
Aye.
Member Rayfield?
Aye.
And Member Olson votes aye.
All right, thank you. 12.7, approve orientation of new board members, policy 111.
And this policy states that the school board superintendent shall assist each new board member elect to understand the board's function, policy, and procedures before taking office. The policy committee has reviewed this policy and is recommending a simple change to this policy, striking the language referencing that each oncoming board member would receive copies of board policies and the MSBA's handbook, and adding language that would essentially indicate that new board members would be provided the opportunity to attend MSBA leadership training. And I know members Luther and Kettle are planning to go next week. Next week.
Great.
And
Great.
administration's recommending approval with those changes.
Okay, do a motion to approve 12.7?
So moved.
Second?
Discussion?
As was mentioned, we went through the process so far, and I thought it was excellent. And Superintendent Massey had his door open all the time, and I could reach him whenever I needed, so thank you for that.
Absolutely.
Right, and I echo the same sentiment. I was incredibly impressed by every director that we met with.
Excellent.
All right, any further discussion? If there's no further discussion, Member Clerk, please take a roll call.
Member Peterson?
Aye.
Member Tyson?
Aye.
Member Rayfield?
Aye.
Member Olson votes aye. Member Kettle?
Aye.
And Member Lubner?
Aye.
All right, motion's approved. 12A, approve use of student records policy 505.
And the purpose of this policy is to provide protection and privacy of student records. Policy committee has reviewed this policy and is recommending a couple of changes or a number of changes throughout. I'll quickly highlight those on page 3. There's addition of language indicating that the superintendent of schools may designate another employee to act on his or her behalf and implement and managing the policy. There'd be additional language. Additional language on page 16 of the policy where we're spelling out some guidelines and changes to fees being assessed to those who may request copies of records.
Good, yep.
And some correction or update of language from in defining the responsible authority on page 18 to school district, defining that. And changes in on page 19, striking language referencing that decisions on hearings related to records and rights to hearings, that the hearing officer shall, striking language referencing the hearing officer shall serve the party with final decisions to the school district shall issue its final determination in writing within reasonable period of time after receiving the recommendation of the hearing officer. So that's added language. And with those changes, administration recommends approval.
All right, do we have a motion to approve 12A?
So moved.
Second.
Discussion?
Superintendent, did you note the change on 17?
Page 7.
17. I knew you went through them all, I just didn't hear that one.
Yeah, that's, I did a
You
general
did.
reference
Okay. You
to
did.
language related to the
Okay,
fee structure and
gotcha.
how we would assess fees for requests for records.
Any further discussion? I'd just like to thank the policy committee for going through this with a fine tooth comb.
Yeah.
And, yeah, I really appreciate that. Any further discussion? If not, member clerk, please take a roll call.
Member Tyson?
Aye.
Member Rayfield?
Aye.
Member Olson votes aye. Member Kettle?
Aye.
Member Luther?
Aye.
And Member Peterson?
Aye.
All right, the motion's approved. 12.9, approve school visitors policy 704.
This policy defines guidelines to regulate access to schools by parents, citizen, alumni, other members of the public to visit our schools. And the policy committee's reviewed this policy and is recommending a couple of changes. First, the addition of language referencing students who are in the PSEO program, which is post-secondary enrollment actions. Kids who are taking classes off campus or off-site from our high school and taking classes in college. That essentially that our students taking PSEO courses can have access to school district space, libraries, flex learning space, and so on, and also access to technology. And then a simple change on page 3 of the policy where we're striking language in terms of if a visitor is being asked to leave campus and being dismissed from being on site, rather than delaying that process and printing a copy of the policy, that we would just indicate that the policy is on the website. So we're striking language indicating that we would provide a copy of the policy. And again, policy committee is providing those recommendations, and administration is recommending approval.
All right, do we have a motion to approve 12.9?
So moved.
Second.
Discussion?
I just one thing, when reading that they don't need to be given a copy, I understand that it's burdensome and time delay, but I do hope that in action, that people are still given an opportunity to read through the rules.
Very good. All right, any further discussion? There's no further discussion. Member clerk, please take a roll call.
Member Rayfield?
Aye.
Member Olson votes aye. Member Kettle?
Aye.
Member Luther?
Aye.
Member Peterson?
Aye.
And Member Tyson?
Aye.
Motion's approved. 1210, recommend award of Wyoming Elementary renovation bid. Director Martini?
Thank you. Good evening again. I'd like to draw your attention to one of the attachments. As we mentioned earlier, the architect and construction manager's estimate for this project was $6.5 million, and with the alternate 1 and alternate 2 selected, we're just a little over $6.1 million. So we're really excited about this. We felt that we had good coverage. For example, in the first work scope, concrete and masonry, there were 4 bidders. We'd like to award the Donald Lawrence grants. In structural steel, we only have 1 bidder. Construction systems, in structural steel erection, 2 bidders. We'd like to award the KMH erectors. Parkos Construction Company was the best of 4 demo and carpentry bidders. Northern Woodwork, best of 3 for casework. It's accurate that we didn't receive any roofing bids, but we'll either be assigning that to our demo contractor to sub that out, or we'll get some quotes. This scope of work is about $100,000 below the bid requirement, but Cross Anderson is going to decide which direction we should go with that. Right Way Caulking, best of 3 sealant bidders. Redevis Hardware, also best of 3. National Window Associates, best of 2. There are 5 bidders in drywall with Pinnacle Wall Systems. Tile, 5 bidders, WTG, Terrazzo and Tile. Sonus Interiors, best of 3 for acoustic ceilings. Floors by Beckers, they've done most of our secondary work. They're best of 2. Painting, Superior Painting and Decorating. Absolute Fire Protection was best of 4, just like the 4 bidders in painting. GSM, best of 5 mechanical bidders. Good to see coverage on the largest scope of work there. Valtech, best test and balancing bidder out of 4. Neo Electrical, the only bidder in that scope, but we've worked with them before. Peterson Company's best of 6 for site clearing and earthwork. Bituminous Roadways, best of 4 bidders for asphalt. Peterson Company's best of 2 for irrigation and landscape. And with those specific contractors, we'd ask the school board to approve the bids as Cross Anderson has recommended with the letter I've just summarized.
All right. We have a motion to approve the bids. 1210.
So moved.
Second?
Discussion?
Just a question. What general percent are these new versus all the other constructions that's been going on over the year?
So what's new?
Well, new awards, so new companies that are gaining work from this, or is it mostly the same players as the other buildings?
Oh, that's a great question. I don't have an answer for you. I would say 30% of these folks for sure have done work on other projects. We do seem to see a number of contractors that like school work in just a compressed time frame. That's kind of a specialty area as opposed to 12 months out of the year. So we are seeing a lot of repeat bidders, but I couldn't drill down any deeper than that. Possibly Member Peterson, who's in the trades, could speak to some of this.
So, all of the names on the bid lists were recognizable to me. Most of them have done work, and others, I think Pinnacle has, they might have done some out at Scandia for the steel stud drywall. So I would typically, like Larry said, the bidders who bid on compressed schedule as a sort of a small group of specialized contractors who prefer that work.
I was going to make a comment in the next round that Bituminous Roadways for asphalt on this work is to be awarded, award pending in the next agenda item. And they also did for Lake Elementary School's parking lot, but no other work within the district.
The other thing I'd like to add is that we've worked with Crouse Anderson Companies on all of our buildings, and they obviously have approved these bidders and selected these bidders, so that just makes perfect sense to me. That they give them their...
All right.
We're getting around the edges of your question.
Any further questions? If there's no further questions, Member Clerk, please take a roll call.
Member Peto?
Aye.
Member Luther?
Aye.
Member Peterson?
Aye.
Member Tyson?
Aye.
Member Rachel?
Aye.
Member Olson votes aye.
All right. 1211, recommend award of 2019 senior high tennis court reconstruction bid.
The engineer's estimate for this project was $250,000, and we did have 8 bidders. We recommend you award Bituminous Roadways for a total bid of $233,625.
All right. Do a motion to approve 1211?
So moved. Second.
Any discussion?
I would just add, if Director Martini would just take a minute and speak to the funding source for this project.
So this is not bond funding. It is long-term facilities maintenance revenue. Long-term facilities maintenance revenue is a new, or fairly new, capital-style funding stream. It's in its 3rd year now, being phased in. We get almost $400 per pupil. We had to give up health and safety and maintenance revenue for this, so not all of this is actually new money to the school district. So we have capital outlay, we have long-term facilities maintenance revenue that's used for this project. Those are both in the general fund and separate from any bond funding.
Very good.
Excellent.
Any further? Do we have a motion on the table?
We do,
Yes. Yep.
Right.
Any further discussion?
I just have a question, quick question. When does this project start?
The start is, when everything's thought, we're gonna go as quick as we can so we can get the girls playing in August.
Nice.
When does it finish?
And just real quick, how many courts is this?
So it's the other half, it's the northern half, and the southern half were new a couple of years ago, and now we're gonna fix the northern half, and with considerable earthwork and substrate improvement.
4 courts total.
I believe it is, without pickleball lines.
Great.
All right, any further
Long
discussion?
time coming.
If not, Member Clerk, please take a roll call.
Member Luther?
Aye.
Member Peterson?
Aye.
Member Tyson?
Aye.
Member Rachel?
Aye.
Member Olson votes aye. Member Kettle?
Aye.
All right, you're getting a workout tonight.
Yes.
1212, approve the legislative platform. Superintendent?
Thank you. We'll be talking quite a bit over the next month, especially at the work session, about our overall funding pieces relative to the referendum. It's important to note before we get into the specifics of our platform that the operating referendum that we were successful in early November is a significant opportunity for our school district, no doubt about it. Brings in about $5.5 million a year. In total, our operating levy is $12.86 per pupil. If you recall the funding gap from the state in terms of dollars we get per pupil compared to the dollars we should get, had the state kept up with inflation over the last 25 years, there's a $2,500 gap in state funding. So $12.86 is only half of the real funds that we need as a school district. So Director Martini and I have already started our work with the legislature. They opened this past Tuesday. They are in their new offices and ready for work, and we are already at their doorstep talking to them about hopefully this platform that you approve here in just a minute. But we have critical work to close the other gap in our funding, not to take away from the powerful opportunity we have that the community gave us with our referendum. But there's still work to be done. So I'm proposing that our legislative platform be some very standard arguments that we and many districts throughout the state are making. Increases, number one, on the per pupil formula. We're recommending a 4% increase each of the years of the biennial budget that they're putting together. The second piece, another piece would be increases to special education. Our special education cross-subsidy as a school district is about $5 million. Essentially, what that means is we're spending about $5 million from our general fund to cover special education costs that were promised to be funded by the feds. So we are, and we are no different than all districts throughout the state. Fortunately, the legislature, I think, has this as one of their topics going into the session. And lastly, our transportation is the other big issue. So we'll be working on those three fronts if you will approve those. And if we get movement on per pupil funding, special education, and hopefully a bigger inroad on transportation funding than we received 2 years ago, we would be in much better shape as a district. So administration is recommending approval of our legislative platform with those three initiatives.
Okay, do you have a motion to approve 1212?
So moved.
Second?
Discussion?
I would like to say,
Go ahead.
very optimistic with what I've heard so far on per capita with Governor Walz and House members, as well as what appears to be some willingness in the Senate to at least acknowledge that there are needs in education. So that's very good news.
It's promising with Walls with the cross subsidy. He's been addressing that for a long time, and MSBA wants to file a lawsuit with all districts. So I think there's a lot of movement there. Did you say, Superintendent, that Representative Karen Housley is going to author a new transportation bill
We
for us?
believe that is the plan on the Senate side, and we're still working on authors on the House side. The Schools for Equity in Education lobbying day for our district is March 5th. So you've seen that in my communications I put out on the weekend. So if you're interested in joining us for a 6-7 hour day down at the legislature, lobbying back and forth between the Senate and the House, we'd love to have you. And hopefully we're leaving a trail as we cross back and forth at the legislature.
Yeah, it's a fun day.
I would also add that not on our platform, but paramount to us, and I think on the minds of the legislators, is issues around mental health and behavior supports. So we are taking an opportunity to speak to those needs of our students when we're at the legislature as well.
Yeah, and I would just say, I mean, whenever I talk to somebody who's in a position of power, or even somebody tonight came to the board meeting who was interested in an elected position, and the one thing I say to them over and over again is that increases to the basic per pupil funding is the critical thing, is that if we get shorted on that money, then that just eats away at the buying power of that levy that we work so hard to pass. And so I really like that number 3 is just very clear, 4%, that's what we need, that's what we want, you know. And it doesn't lowball either. It's, we're in a position where the state could easily meet that if they show a little bit of courage. And that's what districts like ours in the metro areas need, is they need that per pupil funding without any messing around, adding all kinds of requirements to it. We know how to use that money. So,
Well said.
yep, absolutely. Is there any further discussion?
I'd like to say the mental health issues, obviously in recent years have come to light, and the counselor to student ratio in the state of Minnesota is disgusting, and they should work on that significantly. There should be money put in the budget for that.
Yeah, we're gonna have to do our best to steer the legislature away from a grant concept
Yeah.
and do categorical funding, because we may want, some districts may want social workers, some may want contracted mental health with local agencies. Give us some flexibility to address the needs that we see fit in our district.
Yeah, great point.
Yeah.
Any further discussion? If not, Member Clerk, please take a roll call.
Member Peterson?
Aye.
Member Tyson?
Aye.
Member Rachel?
Aye.
Member Olson votes aye. Member Kettle?
Aye.
Member Luther?
Motion is approved. New business, 13.1, first reading of the bullying prohibition policy 541.
The purpose of this policy is to assist the school district in its goal of preventing and responding to acts of bullying, intimidation, violence, reprisal, retaliation, and other similar disruptive and detrimental behavior. The policy committee has reviewed this policy and is recommending no changes at this time.
All right. 13.2, first reading of harassment and violence policy 425.
The purpose of this policy is to maintain a learning and working environment that is free from harassment and violence on the basis of race, color, creed, religion, national origin, sex, age, marital status, family status, status with regard to public assistance, sexual orientation, including gender identity or expression, or disability. This policy requires annual review, and the policy committee has spent time working on this policy and is recommending a change throughout the policy, striking the reference to gender and replacing it with terminology that would state including gender identity or expression. And those are following recommendations from the Minnesota Human Rights Act, as well as the legislature and MSB's recommendation.
Okay. 13.3, first reading of the Transportation Employee Drug and Alcohol Policy 430.
All school district transportation employees whose positions require a commercial driver's license will be required to undergo drug and alcohol testing in accordance with federal law and the applicable provisions of this policy. Policy committee has reviewed this policy, and in consultation with John Gray, our supervisor of transportation, we're recommending striking the reference to opioids and replacing it with replacing opiates and replacing the terminology reference to opioids, which would include hydrocodone, hydromorphone, oxycodone, and oxymorphone. And so it would be a recommendation of striking reference to opiates and replacing with reference to opioids.
Okay. 13.4, first reading of the Student Transportation Safety Policy 531.
Purpose of this policy is to provide safe transportation for students and to educate students on safety issues and responsibilities of school bus ridership. School Board Policy Committee has reviewed this policy and is recommending a simple change to page 531-2, where we're adding reference of student transportation and safety training language to item number 7.
Okay. 13.5, first reading of the naming the Area Learning Center.
Currently, and for as long as our ALC has been in existence, the ALC, interestingly, is the name of the type of school. Much like in elementary school, this defines or describes the type of school. Middle school type of school, high school type of school. Well, we have names for those schools. Area Learning Center is a type of school. It doesn't have its own name. So Kelly and her staff have aptly identified that it's time for a name. So Kelly and her staff have gone through a process with Kelly's leadership, working through, looking at different names and settling on a name. So I'll turn it over to Principal Kelly Levine.
And we will try to make this as engaging as possible, but welcome new board members and good evening. So I'm the principal of the ALC and the CLC, and Karen Baxter is our science teacher at the ALC, and we're excited to be here tonight. So we are going to give you a snapshot of the process that we went through to rebrand the naming of the ALC. Oops. There. All right, so the process we used, we wanted to make it very inclusive, to include stakeholders who all had a voice. So we included students, staff, administration, board member, a director, and community members. And I'd like to just take a moment to thank Larry in the room. Larry was a part of our process, and Jill Olson was a part of our meetings as well. So thank you to those 2 people in the room this evening, along with our student representative Caitlin, who was with us throughout this whole process for a couple of months. Through the process, we surveyed students and staff and parents. We had meetings, conversations, we did some community outreach, and we received feedback. We have many, I don't know why that's, we have many alternative options for the families within the Forest Lake community. We service, can you move that over so people can read it?
Do something.
Sorry. I mean, I can just keep moving, but it's awkward for the people reading it. I'll keep going. So we service around 1,300 students with all the alternative programming that we have within our district. So the ALC and the Targeted Services umbrella services 1,300 students, including elementary programming. So this year we have a program called WIN that's offered after school. What I Need is what that means. Instead of extended day, we've renamed that program as well, because who really wants to extend their day? I don't think they will. So we renamed that program to be WIN. And then we also have summer school K through 12 that usually runs in June and July, and it's around 26 days for kids who need extra support in literacy, math, and then emotional behavioral needs. We also have a core program at the junior high, not the junior high level, the 7 and 8 building that services students who need just that unique instruction that looks a little bit different, that includes project-based learning and that instructional model that just looks a little bit different. Some interdisciplinary work. As you could hear tonight, we approved a class at the ALC that included art and history. So we're trying to offer things different for kids so that we can keep them in our district and also meet their unique learning needs. So the core program offers that for our 7th and 8th graders through English, ELA, math, and science. And of course, at the ALC, we service kids 9 through 12 in a unique learning environment. So with that, we just wanted to give you just a little bit of a snapshot of what we were all about at the ALC and Targeted Services. So, and when, are we ready to go, Larry?
No.
Okay.
Not working well. We'll try.
That's okay.
This view.
So, there we go. That's a little bit better.
Slightly.
That's not going to work for you though, so just tell me what's the next slide.
I can click for it.
Okay, you just have to click on the
Yeah.
presentation.
Sorry about that. So there were many considerations that we went through as a team. Really thought about our core values, and I'm going to give you a copy of that in a little bit. But our team worked on core values, well, this is our second year, where we established environmental aspirations, strategic outcomes, and required shifts. So we really took a look at who we were. We believe in equity, and as you can see up there, there's many things that we believe in. And we used all of these considerations as we looked for a new name for the ALC. We really wanted, what will people see and what will people hear when they come into the building? What will they feel like? Will they feel welcomed? How will the brand reflect who we really are and what happens on a daily basis within our programming? So that's really some of the considerations that we had. We could go on forever and ever about that process. So we can click to the next slide. Yeah, the mission. So, and also too, when we went through this process, we do have a mission at the ALC, and I'll read it to you. We as a community will create and maintain a positive, inclusive learning environment which fosters the skills to thrive through social emotional development in college and career readiness. So I'm going to give you a copy of our core values. It's very cumbersome, it's very in-depth to read, but that is what we study every PD day and also every huddle to make sure that we're aligning our practices with what we believe in at the ALC. Next one.
Yeah. So as we started doing those surveys of staff and students, we asked them very specifically, as we think of our core values and our programming options, what 3 words or phrases represent our school? And it was really interesting as we got that data back, we created this world to help us kind of get a starting point and a visual for what people see when they and think of when they hear our name. With that, we we created our final proposal here of renaming the ALC and the programming for 9-12 to be the Forest Lake Area Community School, grades 9 through 12. The logo on the right there is what's known as a Triskel. It's a Celtic symbol representing past, present, and future. It represents our students in many different ways. Academically is just one of them. And that those 3 words that we came up with from that Wordle was connecting, growing, and empowering. So really making it something that we're doing every day as we look at that. The colors there are representing the sky, the blue sky of our area, the green trees, and then the blue water of the lakes that we have. With that, the trees are actually reflected into the water, which is just part of our daily activities as we reflect on how we can best help and serve our students. So, any questions?
I have a comment. I mean, a pretty amazing effort. Yeah.
What was the logo called again?
It's a Triskel, or also known as a Triskelion.
Okay.
Most cultures around the world have something similar. This one with the curved lines happens to be more Celtic in background. Also known as a tri-spiral for something much simpler.
Right.
I like it a lot.
Yeah, I like it. I really appreciate you guys doing a big effort like that, getting people involved, and yeah, I mean, the word ALC's just been with us so long. I think it's really nice to just take a step back and move forward with something. Yeah.
And as we've shown this slide specifically to students, they all are getting excited about it. They all think it's really cool, it's really neat. When they saw each individual piece, they weren't quite as excited, but seeing it all put together and coming together, they've been quite excited about it.
Okay, so this is our first reading, so we'll take it up and we'll have action on it in an upcoming meeting, but we appreciate you coming out. And any further questions?
For a quick point of clarity, the ALC will move to Southwest at the start of next school year. Director McKinnon is actually leading an effort to name the Southwest building something different, most likely than Southwest, but the ALC will stand alone, or it will stand alone as a program with, if approved, this name.
Were there any other names?
We went through quite a few different name options. The 2 that it came down to was this one or Outreach Community School. And the staff and the students all overwhelmingly said that they like staying with the district theme of Forest Lake area. And we all really love the idea of a community school, that we are a community and that we're embedded within a community.
I like as well that term community school, and you hear that often, and it just gives ownership to the area that you're in, and it just welcomes community. And I just want to thank you, Kelly, and your staff for all your leadership on this great work. This takes a lot of effort, and you guys just have done a fantastic job of, zeroing in on that group that you serve and making it very special and unique for them, as well as maintaining that community feel for Forest Lake area.
All right.
And I would like to thank Dr. Benson as well for his leadership and his support throughout this whole process. So thank you for that as well.
I just want to say it was a pleasure being involved in this. Both of your effort and prep for these meetings was fantastic. You had a lot of effort to go into them. And everybody's voice was heard, so that was very nice. Everybody got to say what they felt, and the surveys were very helpful to get input on everybody else. So thank you.
Thank you.
All right. Thank you. 14, take a look at the upcoming calendar dates. Oh, I'm sorry. 13.6, authorize RFPs, request for proposals for employee group self-insured medical insurance. Director Martini?
So we're required now to go out every 2 years for our administrative services on our self-insurance medical program. So we're now in our 5th year of self-funding. We've been doing self-funding of dental insurance for more than 12 years. Pretty stable with dental. We are also in our 5th year of no change in premium cost. Our 10-year average of medical insurance premium increase is 2.5%. So there's a chance that when we get all of the bids back in and all the specs and we come to you later, that we might have a 1 or 2% increase in premium. It would be the first one in over 5 years. So we'll come back to you in May if you approve our timeline to go ask for these bids.
Okay. All right, any questions?
So it's amazing how low it just stays.
Yeah, it's unbelievable.
Thank you for your
Yeah.
clearing.
If I could just have a quick action, it doesn't need to be roll call, that we're authorized to go out for bids.
What would that action look like? Or?
Administration is approved to go out for bids for medical insurance and
Okay, do we have a motion to allow going out for bids for what?
medical insurance.
Medical insurance.
So moved.
Second.
Discussion? All in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed? All right. All right, now, be sure to take a look at the upcoming calendar dates. And also keep an eye on the superintendent's weekly updates. There's also dates that show up in there. And with that, agenda item 15. Yep. Do we have a motion to, do we want?
We need one recess. So we need a motion to recess.
Okay.
Recess to.
Do we have a motion to recess to go into closed session to discuss negotiation parameters for support staff?
So moved.
All right. Any discussion? If
There's
there's
like a 5-minute break between the recess and the opening.
Yep, absolutely. If there's no discussion, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Okay.